Hello Year 9, hope you're all okay. Today we're going to have a little look at understanding Jewish food laws. Now last week, if you did the task, you'll have looked at the Torah and the Talmud and understand a little bit more about what they are. In there, that provides Jewish people with laws and guidance about how to live different aspects of their lives. So today we're going to focus on the laws relating to food, which is also known as Kashrut. Okay, Year 9. So, the Kashrut law states that all the food that Jewish people are allowed to eat is called Kosher food. That's the name that they give to this food that they are permitted to eat. So, for example, Kosher food might be, you can see that cow there on your slide, anything, an animal that has divided hoofs, so its hoofs will have sort of a dividing, and also chews the cud. So, a cow chews the grass, and that will be referred to as the cud. Something like a pig wouldn't be kosher because it doesn't have divided hooves and also it doesn't chew the cud. Seafood must have scales and fins. So the picture of the fish there, scales and fins, that would be permitted. So something like a tuna fish would be fine, but things like shellfish would not be okay because they don't have scales and fins. So things like that are examples of kosher food, and those are the foods that will be allowed. So we've looked at what will be allowed, the kosher, but food which is not allowed and not permitted to be eaten by Jewish people is called treifa. So for example, there's a nice source of authority here that you can have a look at. In Deuteronomy, it states that you would not cook, so do not cook a goat in its mother's milk. And if you think about that in today's context, things like meat and dairy products, so if you look at the picture there, so you've got the beef burger, which would be the meat, but the dairy would be the cheese. They would not be able to be consumed together. So if you think about the very old source of authority there, that translated into modern day language would be things like you don't cook the meat product with the dairy product. So things like hamburgers, lasagna, which uses beef and dairy cheese, they would not be permitted. So they would be called treifa foods. Okay, Year 9. So let's have a look now at how Orthodox Jews follow the food laws, and they do follow them very strictly and very carefully. If you look at the blue sort of little poster that's on the slide, those are different examples of what you might find in an Orthodox Jewish kitchen. So, for example, there would be different sinks, one for dairy and one for meat products. There would be different ovens, one for dairy, one for meat products, even different cutlery and utensils which would be stored in different drawers. So you would have knives and forks that you use for dairy products in one drawer, knives and forks that you use for meat products in another drawer. There's examples there of pans as well, so you would have different pans for your meat dishes to cook in, different pans for your dairy dishes to cook in, and they'd be stored separately in different cupboards. I've also put an example there of kosher milk. So if an Orthodox Jewish family wanted to buy milk, they would buy kosher milk. It would be sort of a label on the front to sort of signify that it is kosher, and that would be prepared or overseen by a rabbi in a kosher dairy. So it would go through the same production as milk, but then it will be overseen to make sure that it's produced and it's up to kosher standards so that it can be sold as kosher milk, and that's what an Orthodox Jewish family would buy. So now we're going to have a look at why Orthodox Jews, why they follow those food laws and why they think they are so important. Well, first of all, really importantly, they're in the Torah. So, they've come directly from God, those laws. And for Orthodox Jews, that's really important. And also they form part of the 613 mitzvot. So an Orthodox Jew, by following those laws for the food that they eat, they allow they allows them to get closer to God. And it's part of being Jewish. It gives them a sense of identity, a Jewish identity, the fact that they follow the kosher food laws. And also, going on from giving them identity, it allows them to be part of the wider Jewish community, that they all follow those kashrut food laws together. And also it strengthens their relationship with God, because by following the 613 commandments, by following those food laws, that allows them to connect and build that strength of relationship with God, and also think about God when they eat the food, and observe the laws that they are following. Okay, so what about Reform Jews though? Would they follow them as closely? Well, they don't consider the food laws to be as important, but generally Reform Jews will not eat pork. That's not all Reform Jews, but in general, they don't eat pork. They believe they're less important because they believe that those rules, the Torah rules, are outdated in today's modern society. And because they're outdated, they feel that actually it may cause division as well between Jews and other communities. So they wouldn't be as strict about the Kashrut food laws in general. So, Year 9, what you can do now, there are a couple of tasks that are on the task sheet for this week. First of all, there's some Deuteronomy source of authority, not the one that we looked at before, but a different one where it states what type of foods are kosher and what type of foods are treifa, and you can have a look at source of authority, interpret it and make a list. That's all I go with this, just to generally cover what's in the presentation. And then finally, there's an A-style question, which is an exam-style question. Will ask you to outline 3 Jewish food laws. So for that, you need 3 different Jewish food laws, and you need 3 separate sentences. So see if you can have a go at that. Thanks, Year 9.